there, geeks! You're listening to Real Geek News,
a monthly podcast where we geek out about all your favorite geeky news and genre entertainment.
I'm Karen Andrew Rivera.
I'm Raul Ceballos.
We got a month's worth of news to talk about, so without further ado,
let's get geeky! Just setting up, getting musical here. Since
I feel like I had to top that because you were singing. I was like, how do I continue that?
We're talking about music. We're gonna get ready, folks. We're gonna get some music.
Get ready.
Do you want to start it off, or
I'll
should
be here
I?
all week. No, I won't.
You start. You go.
Yeah. Well, wait. Before we start,
yes.
Hi everybody. We haven't been posting an episode for ages.
Elephant in the room. Yeah, it's been a while.
There's that one listener that's like, where the heck have these guys been?
Yeah, just the one person.
The one person. Don't worry, Todd. We know.
Maki's the only one.
Oh yeah, Maki.
Shout out to our friend Maki, who
we love you, Maki.
Very, very loyal listener. Yeah, it's been a while. It's just been crazy. With our last episode of anything we did was our Deadpool review, which was like a couple months ago. So we've had just a busy summer and just scheduling issues, and so it's been. Bear with us, guys. We do this on our spare time. This is not our full-time jobs. We do have other jobs. We are voice actors and have been pretty busy with stuff.
But more importantly, we love having fun doing this, so that's why we're still here,
Absolutely.
making the magic happen.
Absolutely.
And, you know what I forgot? I forgot to move my sound effect button, but that's okay. We're gonna do this. I'll make the sound effects. You just comply and say, "Nice job with that sound effect, Kevin." Okay. Which means I can make up any sound effect I want. Like that's one of them right there.
So you're just gonna do them yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need a drum kit, I'll be the one that goes. Boom.
Oh, that's a funny fart sound effect you just did, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
Ooh, that was actually pretty good.
That was pretty good, right?
Pretty convincing. Right, well, one of those soft, like almost silent ones, but you can still just kind of hear it eke out just a little.
It's just elegant. You can make music out of that. Speaking of music, Raul.
There you go.
We got...
Everyone has stopped listening already.
Except for Maki. They like fart jokes, so that's what you're here for. Also, before we start again, this episode is sponsored by Marvel, and by sponsored, I mean we're not getting paid at all.
Very Marvel-centric episode, yes.
It's a very Marvel-centric episode indeed.
Buckle in.
So we got our first musical topic. That was a sound effect. This is Michael Giacchino debuts Fantastic Four First Steps theme to a wide audience.
Mm-hmm.
So, this comes to us from The Wrap. The Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga received an orchestral treatment in a show that debuted Friday night at the Hollywood Bowl, complete with a Fantastic Four post-credits tease. Following fireworks closing out a look back at the MCU films that culminated in Avengers Endgame, composer Michael Giacchino ran out with some music for famed conductor Gustavo conductor Gustavo Dudamel, asking if they could take just 4 more minutes. There's my sound effect. When Giacchino turned around to exit the stage and watch, the crowd could see his blue sport coat featured a Fantastic Four logo on the back. The orchestra then debuted the theme to the much-anticipated film, set for release on July 25th, 2025. The score has a jaunty vibe, perhaps a bit reminiscent of the Ant-Man score, but with its own retro vibes befitting the rumored 1960s setting of the project. The tune blends a dreamy sense with future-looking heroic optimism, along with elements that echo the sounds you might expect from a film featuring, say, a space launch. And we have all this description here, and just for a quick 10 seconds, we can actually play this for you guys right now. So take a listen to this. what's that? We stopped the music. Guess you'll have to hear the rest of it on YouTube when you get the
Aw.
chance. But first, we got to talk about this song in general and of, this is pretty cool. Like the little surprise that Marvel kind of gave out to their fan base, us included. We live in LA, and so this concert was happening right down the street from us.
I'm kicking myself for not having. I wanted to go so bad, but we had to be out of town that weekend, and because otherwise I totally would have gone. And yeah, what were you gonna say, Kevin?
No, I mean, listen, it's really cool. I think it's nice to see that Marvel is trying to stay uplifted and positive about everything that's happening with the cinematic universe so far. Because I think we can all agree that the Phase 4 situation was kind of, or has been, a bit on the rocky side. Heck, even Deadpool himself brought it up in his own movie.
Well, this concert was specifically in the Infinity Saga, the music of the Infinity Saga. So they really kept it. They kept it limited to like, hey, it's the stuff you like.
Yeah, they were like, man, come on, guys, you remember us? We're going back to that. We're gonna be cool. It's gonna be awesome. And so having this really rewarding concert, and then suddenly saying, hey, you like that positive energy? Let's think about that positive energy with the Fantastic Four music, huh?
I watched on YouTube almost all of the concert because it's actually on YouTube in pieces, and it's like a 2-hour concert because I was trying to picture myself there because I wish I had gone. So I'm like, let me try and live through it as much as I can on YouTube. And Kevin Feige comes out at the beginning. And he talks about, the concert, and they did like an honor to Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and all that, because it was like the 80th anniversary of Marvel that evening. And he says to the crowd, he goes, all you Marvel fans, you should know by now to stay until the end. So just keep that in mind, to stay till the end. And so it was kind of cool that there was like, this essentially was like the on stage Hollywood Bowl concert version of a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
So it was a really neat tag at the end when Giacchino comes out and he's like, just hold on, guys, just stay for a little while longer. Then he turns around, you can see the Fantastic Four logo on his back, and then sure enough they play the theme.
I think it sounds pretty cool. It definitely does have that very outer space, like space launch kind of vibe to it of space, the final frontier. It also makes me think a little bit of Star Wars for some reason. The trailer for Episode 7 where Rey is like, I've heard these rumors of the Force and the legacy of the Jedi. And then Han Solo's like, it's true, all of it.
It's like a thing, like you hear this in trailers now, this, wonder. Yeah.
It's like this magical feeling, and I think that really serves the film, I think, in this music. I mean, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I knowing that that's what it's going to be about, I think it only benefits it to have music like this. And I feel like that's going to be music that the more they play it and the more we go watch the movie, the more memorable that song's going to become. So I think they're going in the right direction. My other favorite thing about it is that it's very uplifting. And so I like that we're kind of coming back to like the positive stuff of the MCU again. I mean, listen, I'm a pretty big fan of the MCU. I'm excited for things like, the new Captain America movie that's coming out. They're finally going to tell us how, where the Celestial thing is and how they're going to find adamantium in the Celestial. Remember when we talked about this? This was a theory that we freaking had, and I called it.
Yeah, that's right. I don't remember how long ago that was, but yeah.
Oh, it was ages ago. Must have been 3 months ago when we last recorded an episode or something.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's cool to see that, even this storyline brings us to the whole multiversal thing of this isn't the Fantastic Four living in the MCU 616. This is the Fantastic Four in a different multiverse, a different universe. Right. And I still like the idea of everything getting reset and then we go to their universe from now on for the next 20 films or something. Just Secret Wars, and then we go to the Fantastic Four universe, do a 1960s themed superhero world, and then you have like every excuse to use the X-Men, and you got Spider-Man in the 1960s, you got Captain America didn't freeze in the ice, and he spent an extra 20 years after the war ended or something, still thinking that there was another war to be part of. There's so many cool storylines. Anyways,
so many ways, so many different ways you can take it. Yeah.
Fantastic Four just gives us all those new opportunities. But Raul, let me go back to the music stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know all your main thoughts on this music. I know you listened to a version of it online that someone else composed just to make it sound more clear. Talk to me about all this.
Yeah, no, there's a few of them online, to varying degrees of quality, where people have recreated, because all we have of this theme so far is these videos that people recorded at the Hollywood Bowl. So it's like it's not the best quality. It's somebody recording it, and there's people talking in crowds. But there have been a few people online on YouTube who have recreated it and provided like a clean H high quality version of the audio. It's not exact, but it's the best you can find. So I've been listening to that nonstop. I've been watching the video over and over again. And fun fact, I'm a very big movie score geek. I love movie film music, and I've ever since I was a kid, I've been collecting like scores and things like that for films, and I love kind of studying it. And I'm not like a composer or anything, but I really like breaking stuff down. And this really got me excited as soon as I heard it, because there is so much positivity, and it just really does. There's like sounds that almost like in the movie The Right Stuff, like when the astronauts are all walking in slow motion, you hear the trumpets, and it's very much like a film that takes place in the 1960s where, we're about to see the astronauts launch. That's the music that kind of comes to mind, these trumpets and things like that. And then Giacchino adds like these little electronic sounds and little electronic rhythms and stuff in the background. And to me, it just really does a good job meshing, giving us an idea of like, okay, this is an alternate universe 1960s where things are a little more advanced and things kind of look like, it's almost like everything looks like Epcot, right? It's like 1960s retro futurism, based on the concept art that we've seen. And this music really, this is like you can hear this at Epcot. I can easily hear this theme in Epcot, and it's got like the past, the future, and it's just got those two meshed together, and just really interesting. Really, really quick note here. I'd like to point out the main theme is because we got ba 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 ba. It's grouped in four. Grouped in groups. It's in groups of four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'm just saying, I don't know if this was Giacchino's intention, but I like listening for things like that. You know? And then the other bum 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 bum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking because it's just getting me excited, because this music, it sounds good. This is like one of my favorite themes already from the MCU so far, and the movie hasn't even freaking come out yet. So it's just gotten me really excited for this movie, and I'm hoping this is kind of a harbinger of good things to come.
Oh, yes. Also, I think I'm almost certain the song itself is 4/4 time. But we gotta ask Alex.
But that's a very common. That's very common. It is 4/4 time, but 4/4 is very common. It's nothing unusual. But if it was Fantastic 3 and it happened to be a waltz, that's when I'd be, that seems intentional. But yeah, I'm just so hyped. Oh, I wish I was there.
Well, listen, I also think between this music stuff being announced and shown to the world, and images of the Thing showing up online of people, him on set, they're trying to like base the CGI off of that stuff, and then you get to see like leaked footage of the actors playing their characters and like some kind of sneak peek preview stuff. There's so much to be excited for, and I think the Fantastic Four, I'm trusting that this time around they're gonna nail something in the head with this. Because
this is a great theme. Let me just say that this is a great theme.
I think Kevin Feige has the right idea when he's trying to come up with something like this. But also, the Fantastic Four is a very difficult thing to capture audiences. So I'm really hoping this is the first one out of the many that really start to get us back into it. I mean, I grew up with the original Fantastic Four with Chris Evans, and that as a kid, I grew up thinking it was the coolest thing ever. But as I've gotten older, I go back and watch it, and I'm like, it's a 2000s movie for sure. But we do have all these really cool things happening, but at the same time, we also have some bad news to talk about. We have James Earl Jones passing away. This is probably not the best place to put this this topic. Maybe this should have been our first topic. James Earl Jones.
Yeah, well.
He died! All right, now I'm just making it bad.
Oh, man.
Raul, why don't you read this off before I dig a hole any further for myself?
Of course. Yes, so James Earl Jones has passed away, and we got this little blurb from Deadline. James Earl Jones, the revered actor who voiced Star Wars villain Darth Vader, starred in Field of Dreams and many other films and Broadway shows, and is an EGOT winner, died this morning at his home in Dutchess County, New York. He was 93. His reps at Independent Artist Group confirmed the news to Deadline. Widely regarded as among the world's greatest stage and screen actors, Jones is one of the few entertainers to have won an EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, although his Academy Award was honorary. Jones has received 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Daytime Emmy, a Spoken Word Grammy Award in 1977, and 3 Tony Awards. The actor amassed nearly 200 screen credits during his brilliant 60-year career, starting some early 60s TV guest roles. They were starring in some early 60s TV guest roles, and Stanley Kubrick's 1964 classic Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. He probably is best known for his voice as the dastardly Darth Vader in George Lucas's. Okay, yada. We know. Also, would like to mention he is, Mufasa. Iconic, legendary actor. Listen, what, 93? That's a life right there. That's
old, man.
That's a good life, man. He lived a great life, and all the praise he gets, he definitely has deserved and earned. I remember, other than Star Wars, the only other time the first movie I saw him like in the flesh, where I wasn't just listening to his voice, was The Sandlot. He was the neighbor who owned the dog that all the kids were scared of, just turned out to be such a nice, sweet guy. Spoilers for The Sandlot, movie that came out 30 years ago.
It's past their time.
For me especially. We're both huge Star Wars fans, and of course, this is, it's a blow, but he was 93. If you're going to live a life, that's a life to live. So, Rest in power, Mr. Jones, Mr. James Earl Jones. You will be missed very dearly. I will say, I think, Disney's definitely all set though to look in a cynical note. Disney is definitely all set though with using his voice as Darth Vader from here on out, because there was that he sold the rights to his voice, right? Last year or something like that.
I could have sworn that the money that they were making off of that voice, they would pass on to the family as well. But then I guess I must have made that up in my head, because I couldn't find any articles that mentioned that.
Oh, no.
So it sounds like Disney just kind of owns the rights to James Earl Jones's voice, which, it's weird. I see it in one way. Yes, I understand why they wanted to keep that iconic voice for this character that comes from one of the most iconic movies in film history. But at the same time, listen, as a voice actor myself, I know a couple of people that sound like James Earl Jones and can voice match him. And maybe we could be hiring actors.
Those are some shoes to fill. I would love that, because yes, there are people in our industry who make their money doing things like this, and of course, we're not going to get into the whole conversations about AI again. But that is an issue that is still
Definitely an
being,
issue.
there's still a concern about, but he sold the rights to his voice. They can use his voice legally for AI purposes from here on out. So, they have that option, which they're certainly gonna every time they're gonna choose AI every time because they have that option. There's no way they're gonna go look for James Earl Jones sound-alikes when they got his voice right there in a computer.
Every single year, at least once a year, I go on YouTube and I find this video of James Earl Jones playing the father. I think his name was Troy in Fences, and it's the scene that he did on Broadway when they were doing like a Broadway awards night, and he did a scene where he was talking to his son about what it means to live under his roof and why it is that he doesn't quote unquote like his son. And you hear that booming James Earl Jones voice of "like you, what in God's name do you think I have to like you for?" Like, it's
Yeah,
this really incredible performance that he does in this video.
powerful.
I gotta go back every year to watch it. Even though he's passed away, that's not gonna stop me from doing that because it's such a memorable, iconic scene. But also just knowing that he wasn't just Darth Vader, he wasn't just
Right.
Mufasa, he
Right.
was all these other things, and he was a father, he was a brother, he was a man from Mississippi who had a stutter growing up.
Right. He had a stutter, and he's has dyslexia as well.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to see this guy's life as it went on. So when I hear the number 93, that he passed away at the age of 93, my assumption is he passed away in his sleep.
I'd like to think so.
I'd like to think that as well. And 93 is just it's such a, like, that's the year that for me I kind of just go, I get it. Like, that's, man, if I can make it to my 80s and that's when I go,
I'll be lucky. I'll be lucky if
yeah,
I make it in my
it's
my
just,
80s.
you see how much life that man, or how much energy that guy put into his life and the people around him, and you see the impact that he's had on all of us. Also, George Lucas lucked out when he met a guy like him in the 70s.
Well, I was gonna say just there's no way you cannot separate Darth Vader from James Earl Jones. I mean, his
Yeah.
voice is so iconic. There is no way you can have Darth Vader without that voice. And for those of you who have not seen it yet, I would go on YouTube and look up some behind the scenes of Darth Vader, of them shooting the original Star Wars back in the 70s. And the behind the scenes footage of David Prowse, the on camera actor in the suit for Darth Vader, doing those scenes. And this is before they added James Earl Jones to the cast to do voiceover. So you're hearing actual behind the scenes footage, and you're actually hearing David Prowse's voice come from Darth Vader. And it just like, it breaks your brain because you're just like, that's weird. Like,
Oh,
this
yes.
is not the voice. This isn't Darth Vader. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and look up those videos because it's very interesting to see how much, and then it just makes you appreciate more how the difference that it made to have James Earl Jones then come in and do Vader's voice. I mean, he completed that character and brought the amount of gravitas and power and menace and everything that has now become associated with Darth Vader in your mind. I mean, a good amount of that is attributed to the voice of James Earl Jones. So, he will be missed. An amazing performer, amazing actor. I'll never forget him in my lifetime.
Well then, I'm not going to make any segues to move on to the next topic. I'm just going to say we're going to move on to the next topic
Let's move on to the next topic.
put some respect on his name. And our next topic here is actually Destin Daniel Cretton is going to direct Spider-Man 4. This comes to us from THR. Destin Daniel Cretton is doing whatever a spider can. Oh, boom! There's my sound effect. The filmmaker behind Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings is in talks to sign on to direct Spider-Man 4. The move brings an end to speculation of who would spin the web for one of the biggest franchises in Hollywood. Cretton will bring fresh blood to his iteration of Spider-Man, which stars Tom Holland and is a co-production between two separate studios, Sony and Disney-owned Marvel Studios. And it will make him the fourth director to take on a Spidey solo feature. Jon Watts directed the previous 3 Tom Holland starring movies, while Mark Webb helmed the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies that starred Andrew Garfield, and Sam Raimi directed the trilogy that featured Tobey Maguire. This is like a fairly new announcement that I feel like I just saw either today or yesterday. And my initial reaction was just, woohoo! Yes! We've won, boys! We've won! Because, man, Destin Daniel Cretton, have you guys seen Shang-Chi? It is by far one of the best MCU movies of Phase 4.
For sure.
This man is a storyteller, and I feel like if he knows how to go dark with those types of characters, man, give him Spider-Man. I cannot wait to see what he's going to come up with. This does take me, though, to the thought process of, like, does Sony still want to do multiversal stories, or does Marvel want to do more of the nitty-gritty in the streets with Kingpin and Daredevil kind of storylines? All will be revealed when we see Born Again with Daredevil, with the guy who I'm forgetting the guy who plays Daredevil.
Punisher?
And I'm Punisher, yes.
Wait, is that who you're thinking? Or were you talking about Charlie Cox?
Charlie Cox, that was
Vincent
the actor's name.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy who plays Daredevil, Charlie Cox.
Right, Charlie Cox,
I'm hoping that by the end of the Daredevil series, they kind of go, hint, hint, your next thing that you're about to do is you're going to be in the Spider-Man movie. And it's going to be Daredevil and Spider-Man working together with Black Cat to take down Wilson Fisk. There you go. Boom.
I'd like to see the more grounded approach,
Oh, yeah. Plus, there's been all these rumors about Sydney Sweeney playing Black Cat. They're rumors, but, you know. I see that news, and I'm like, honestly, if they announce that tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised, because I feel like that's actually pretty good casting for what they're looking for.
She's everywhere. You can't not see her now. She's she's been in everything, good or bad.
Plus, if you don't
looking at you, Madam Web.
Well, I was just about to say, if you don't think she can do action flicks, watch Madam Web just a little bit. Like, just watch the fight sequences.
What?
Where Sydney Sweeney does action stuff. And that should be enough. That's like 30 seconds.
I'll just take your word for it. I'll just take your word for it. I'm not going to.
But if you need proof, that's the proof right there. That's where the pudding is. The proof is in the pudding. But yeah, I think that would be really cool. So they haven't said anything to us about what Destin Daniel Cretton is going to do with this. All we know is that he's going to direct it. And I don't know, my faith in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it was going down throughout, Phase 4, and now it's gone back up because the more and more things I'm hearing, the sweeter and the magic is turning out to be, But Raul, how about you? How do you feel about all this? Are you excited for Destin Daniel Cretton to be the director for Spider-Man 4?
Well, yeah, for 2 reasons. First of all, because Destin Daniel Cretton did a great job, with Shang-Chi and that movie. You're right. That was one of the highlights of Phase 4. There was a lot of things in Phase 4 that didn't quite go well. But I'd say, that and maybe Spider-Man No Way Home. Those are those are some of the few kind of things that we've gotten since Endgame that have really done pretty well. As far as the general audience being favorable. Another reason why I'm excited about this is because now there's a director for Spider-Man 4 again, where Jon Watts had left. So now we finally have a director again for Spider-Man 4. That just reassures to me, okay, it's still happening. The ball is still moving. They haven't given up on it yet. So I'm hoping that we'll get this pretty soon. Hopefully before, I don't know, maybe, do you think we'll see it before Secret Wars?
That's a good question.
Or do you think this might be a post-Secret Wars story?
I think that if this movie takes place before Secret Wars, Sony's going to make a push to continue the multiverse storyline stuff. But if it happens after Secret Wars, then you have so much more room to just do the after multiverse situation. But I don't know, because our next topic after this is going to talk about multiverse stuff, and there's a lot I need to say about that. But, I don't know. I'm not really sure where they're going to place it. It seems more likely that they would do it before Secret Wars comes out, but there hasn't been any announcement about whether or not it would do that. But they've already told us that Secret Wars is coming out, I think, in 2026.
2027, I think. I think 2027.
We've got 3 years until that movie drops, and we all know that in Secret Wars, if you know, we all the nerds, we all know that Secret Wars is the introduction to Venom and the symbiotes for Spider-Man, and he becomes the black suit Spider-Man.
Right, the 80s the 80s Secret Wars. Yeah, that's right.
Right, and that's little man. If they don't introduce the black suit, oh my God, that would be insane if they didn't do that. That's a missed opportunity.
They could finally tie in that dumb post-credit scene to No Way Home with Tom Hardy at the bar.
Yes.
Talking to Danny Ramos. Football is life!
Oh, yes.
Finally, they could tie that in. Because I'm just now realizing, so what's the last thing we heard about Shang-Chi 2? Is he still doing that?
So that's the downside of all this, right? Is yes, Justin Daniel Cretton is working on Spider-Man 4, but he's also being placed on Shang-Chi 2. They want him to direct it as well.
Okay.
So he's basically what this means is let's assume Spider-Man 4 isn't going to come out until 2026, right? Let's say it's before Secret Wars. Okay. We're not going to see a Shang-Chi movie until probably after the Avengers films are out.
Poor Simu Liu. He's always going online like, I promise it's going to happen. You'll see it. You'll see me sooner than you think. Poor guy.
This guy has been waiting for years now at this point, right?
Oh, we'll talk about another guy who's been waiting for years at the end of this episode.
Oh, yes. But I think Shang-Chi came out in 2022, I want to say?
2021.
2021? Yeah.
2021?
So, assuming this movie... Wait. Assuming the sequel comes out in 2028, this man will have waited 7 years after that first movie. That's just as bad as Ryan Reynolds waiting 6 to 7 years to do Deadpool 3. You know? So that kind of, I don't know, that kind of puts a damper on the whole thing. But there is this level of hype for me.
It's interesting, though, how Destin Daniel Cretton has kind of jumped around because he was going to do Kang Dynasty. Then that's not happening anymore. That project is now shifted and is now Doomsday, which the Russo brothers are now doing, including Secret Wars.
Which is exciting. That's exciting.
Which is great. No, that's exciting. That's its own other thing. We kind of skipped that whole thing during our schedule mishaps and things like that. So we never had an episode talking about all that stuff. And Downey is Doom and all that stuff. But, so he moved away from that because Kang Dynasty is not happening.
Right.
So now this is what he's shifted to, Spider-Man 4. Although we still aren't sure about Shang-Chi. But this for sure is happening. This is Spider-Man 4 with Cretton.
I'm almost certain Destin Daniel Cretton's going to do a Shang-Chi too. I just don't think they're going to...
He wants to, right? He said that he...
Yeah. And Shang-Chi himself has said, or Simu Liu himself has said that the sequel will happen. Yeah. It's just that we don't really have a full-on plan on when that's going to happen.
Where is it?
We just know Simu's going to be Shang-Chi again in that movie. Destin Daniel Cretton wants to direct it, and that's it. That's all we know. Right. But I want to go back to the Spider-Man stuff because I want to ask you before we start talking about more multiverse stuff. Would you be excited about different types of new characters for Spider-Man? Like, are you excited about Spider-Man going to college? Possibly the darker tones that we could possibly explore with Spider-Man and Peter Parker growing up. Now nobody knows who he is except Spider-Man. What do you think about all that?
No, I love it. It's fresh and it's new, and we're out of the phase where he is he's not an Avenger anymore because nobody even remembers nobody remembers Peter Parker, but it's like he's removed from that now. And now, because ever since the beginning, since he was introduced in Civil War, he was introduced and already he's part of a team, and he's been part of a team ever since, even in Homecoming. I mean, he gets help from Iron Man, Stark is there. And so that's always kind of been looming in the background is we've got our Peter Parker, our Tom Holland Spider-Man, but looming in the background is this idea that he's part of something bigger still. He's part of a team. He's kind of part of the Avengers, right? Now he's completely removed and he's on his own, and it basically gets back to that classic You know, that classic Spider-Man where he's kind of he's got his own apartment, he can barely pay his rent, he's struggling, you know, his suit's ripping up because now he doesn't have fancy Iron Man tech anymore. You know, he actually has a suit that he made, the classic looking comic accurate suit, gets beat up, and you know, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to, and I think that also lends itself to these more grounded types of stories, you know. So I'm hoping we're gonna get some tie-ins with maybe Daredevil and Kingpin, or if not that, just like some kind of, you know, him dealing with organized crime more so than like, you know, aliens or something like that, you know. But of course, you know, maybe see some of his other villains from his rogue gallery show up, but the more grounded ones. And I'm excited about that. It's different from what we've seen before with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and so it'll be a new fresh start. Yeah, I'm all excited about it. I hope that's kind of the direction we're going.
Yeah. I always think of the storyline where Peter Parker reveals himself to be Peter Parker to the world again during
That's
I think this is
Civil War.
The Civil War
In the
storyline.
comics, yeah, the Civil War.
And
comics.
once he does that, I think Fisk is the one who hires an assassin to try to snipe Peter Parker.
Oh God, I can't
And
remember. It's been
when
a
he
while since I read
does,
it.
like he senses it with his spider sense, and he jumps out of the way, and the bullet hits Aunt May and kills her. And so he breaks into Fisk's prison cell and beats the crap out of him, basically reminding him, I can kill you whenever I want, man. That's exactly what he sounds like, too. I'm just me, Peter Parker, yeah. And then he turns into the Green Goblin. Oh, yeah.
I was thinking Macho Man Randy Savage. I'm Peter Parker. I got you for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes of playtime.
So I can see, like, man, there's just so many possibilities. And I think as soon as we move on from the multiverse, I think we can really start going to that corner of the Spider-Man universe and storyline stuff. But speaking of moving away from the multiverse, let's talk about the multiverse, Raul.
Let's talk about the multiverse.
We got Marvel saying the Multiverse Saga will end after Secret Wars. I feel like we've talked about this before, and I want this to be heard to the world because it's important to remember this should be the plan. Raul, we got an article here from the Nerdist. Why don't you read this guy out here?
All right. Marvel Studios' Infinity Saga from 2008's Iron Man through 2019 Spider-Man Far From Home was one of the biggest success stories in Hollywood history, over 11 years and 23 films. The MCU scored record-breaking box office numbers and critical ratings, but its follow-up, The Multiverse Saga, has not fared quite as well. It's still a huge success, don't get us wrong. Just look at the billion-dollar box office for Deadpool and Wolverine. But this saga saw Marvel's first outright flop. Breaking away really quick. What was the flop? Because they don't mention it. Which one was the flop? Was it Love and Thunder? Which one was the flop?
Eternals?
Marvels. Was it I think it may have been Marvels.
Oh, yeah, the Marvels did also.
The Marvels, I think, was their flop, yeah.
Oh, that was the worst one for sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's it. That's the one. Okay, back into it. And just too much content all at once. Well, according to Marvel's Brad Winderbaum, the Multiverse Saga won't go on as long as its predecessor. 2027's Avengers Secret Wars will mark its official end. Here's what he told Screen Rant. And here's the quote from Winderbaum. I think that's what Secret Wars is going to be, an amazing culmination to the saga. I think it's going to make the journey feel like it was worthwhile. All right, well,
okay,
hope
bring
so.
it home. Bring it home.
All right, well, we'll see about that. So yeah, this is a confirmation. This will be the end of the Multiverse Saga. To which I say, like, well, yeah, right. I mean, wasn't that kind of the goal all along? Is to get to Secret Wars, and then after that will be all. I mean, I don't know. I see this and I'm like, I thought that was kind of understood, but apparently it's a surprise to everybody. I don't know.
I mean, I would argue. I would argue that the Multiverse Saga has been very like they've been milking it a lot because, think about it. There's all these cameos that we always expect now from these multiversal films.
Yeah.
Deadpool 3 had all these multiversal characters that I'm not going to reveal because, I don't know, the movie, well, it's September. Who cares? Blade was in it. Freaking
Spoilers!
Elektra, and they brought in Channing Tatum as the freaking Gambit.
Right.
They called me the Gambit. I mean, come on. Like, you got stuff like that. You got Tobey Maguire and Andrew
Ooh, I've
Garfield
been
coming
waiting.
back for No Way Home.
What is it? I've been waiting for this.
I'm about to make a name for myself.
I'm about to
here.
make a name for myself here.
Man, I mean, look at all those multiversal films, though. There's so many different cameos that have been happening in these films. It's almost turned into this formula for the MCU because they're
Right.
like, how do you top this insane 10-year journey of 2008's Iron Man all the way to Endgame? Like, how do you top this? How do you start over to get people excited about Marvel all over again? Well, now that we've kind of had a taste of the glory of Marvel for these last 10 years, it's kind of hard to think of a way to do that, and it's kind of nerve-wracking. So why don't we just go back to the nostalgia and show off all the actors that used to be superheroes and bring them back? Like, yes, I get it. That makes sense. I came back to watch No Way Home like 7 times in the theater. No big
Yeah.
deal. It worked, and that's why they keep doing these movies. Until now in this article, it's saying how now it's time to not be as long as the predecessors of these films. Instead of the 10 years of this, we're getting like 8 or 7 years or something like that, which I'm okay with. I'm all right. I think it's run its course, and it almost makes me think of D&D. When you're a dungeon master and you're playing a game with your friends and you're seeing what they do in this world that you're putting them in, you get a good feel of when the players are bored, like when it's enough. I think this is enough. You're playing your cards right and you're moving on. I think that's the smartest thing you could do. But also in Marvel Studios' case, I mean, Bob Chapek was there, and he kind of gave Marvel Studios this crazy thing that they had to do.
The
Put
mandate
all
about
these,
the
all these mandated
Plus.
TV shows and all these crazy
Yeah.
movies that they had to try to put out at the same time. You can already imagine Kevin Feige in a corner just stressed out trying to figure out how he was going to make all this happen. Also, I don't want to bash it because I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, but the new series about Agatha Harkness, it was Agatha all along, that's coming out on Disney Plus.
It hasn't come out yet, though, right?
No,
Not
it
yet.
comes out, I think, at the end of this month or beginning of October. I'm pretty sure it's this month that it's coming out. And
September 18th. I didn't realize it was so close.
in 6 days from today, we're recording this on the 12th.
Next Wednesday. Wow, that snuck up on me. All right.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the first shows in a long time for Marvel where I felt like I'm okay with waiting for this stuff to all come out.
Really?
Yeah,
know-
man. And it's the same feeling I had with Star Wars Acolyte. Acolyte was, I think it was binge worthy, but I didn't think it was worth waiting every week for it.
I didn't finish Acolyte.
But it had its moments. It has they really bring back the episode 3 of Star Wars, like Jedi fight sequences. So they nailed that really, really well. But here's Agatha Harkness, and I'm like, I feel like this is that thing that came from Bob Chapek, where he was trying to force Kevin Feige to put out as much as he could. The only thing about that is I can't be too hard on it because, you never know. Sometimes these shows do really well. Look at the
Catherine Hahn
Loki.
was a highlight of one.
She was.
You know,
She
so
definitely
I
was.
am looking forward to seeing her continue on with this character. Sorry, Kevin. Go
Right.
ahead.
No, that's exactly true. I mean, that and look at like the Loki series. I find that usually when actors are also the producers of the shows that they're working on, they put a lot more of an effort to really make it count. I mean, heck, the Miss Marvel was a great show. It was very, very kiddish for a lot of fans that were, closer to our age range. We're getting old, Raul. But
I still enjoyed it. It was
Yeah.
a different vibe. It was refreshing. Yeah.
it was so nice. It was a breath of fresh air. Plus, we got Iman Vellani, who is now the biggest Marvel fan, who's also an actress in the MCU.
Yeah,
So that's
she's a huge
really
geek.
cool. So, there's been a lot of ups and downs with the Marvel Multiverse Saga. But I'm ready for it to slow down and start going to the next stuff. Like as we were talking about our last topic, like Spider-Man, man, I want to see those darker storylines. I don't want to worry about the outer space stuff right now. Just bring me back home. Bring me back to the cities of New York. People in the streets getting robbed. Bring me like more Captain America stories. This Captain America film that's coming out.
Yes,
I don't
this
think
looks good. The trailer.
It has nothing to do with multiverse, supposedly. So I'm kind of like, okay, so then let's make it happen.
Yeah.
But I'm done ranting. I want to hear your thoughts on all this, Raul.
I mean, when you really think about it, though, how many of these movies have really involved multiverse? I mean, Spider-Man: No Way Home. I mean, think about all the movies that we've gotten since Endgame. We've got Spider-Man: No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what else? At least movie-wise, what else have we got? I mean, like, it's the Multiverse Saga, and we're all talking about like, oh my God, we're so sick of multiverse now. But really, if you think about it, we haven't had, and you know, as far as the ratio goes, it's skewed very slim as far as actual multiverse-centric stuff.
That's
Unless
true.
you're talking about, well, I guess on the TV side, you have Loki.
Yeah, Loki season 1 and 2.
Is there anything else?
I feel like that might actually be it. That might actually be
Okay,
it.
so unless I'm wrong, I'm sure a listener will be screaming at us. If there's something else, go ahead and send us an email.
The Marvels ends with multiverse. I mean,
Okay,
there isn't multiverse throughout
it's
it,
a little,
but
it's a tag at the
yeah,
end. But if you think about it, like it's strange because it's so multiverse centric in our heads. But really, if you look at it, you know, it's been like maybe 60-40, you know, 40% being like actual multiverse stuff. So,
but also
I don't know.
But also, they still call it the multiverse.
They
saga.
are
So
calling it the multiverse.
There is
saga,
so
for
much.
Sure. I mean, that's
there's so much around these
that's
characters
what it is about.
that, like, I'm hoping when Secret Wars happens or Doomsday happens, it's Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom attaching all the characters we've met now and throwing them into Battle World, or at least like the main ones that are really worth listening to or watching.
Yeah.
I still have that theory that they're gonna do a Young Avengers story, and it's gonna take place between Doomsday and Secret Wars, or maybe after
This is
Secret
not going to
Wars.
happen, Kevin.
And it'll be a storyline. Wait, hear me out. It'll be a storyline that happens during the events of Secret Wars. So while the main Avengers are out in this battle world, the Young Avengers are on Earth, and the Avengers aren't there, and maybe like Vision is like going crazy because he's turning into Ultron again, and they're like, oh, we gotta stop him, and blah blah blah, and bring him back to being the original Vision that he used to be. And then, you know, Young Avengers, you know.
Although, did you hear that? I think there was a rumor that James Spader might come back as Ultron for the Vision show.
Oh,
whatever
was
that
that
ends
a
up being.
rumor or was that official? Because I could have sworn that was official.
I can't remember. That's why I'm saying it's a rumor, because I don't know for sure. So I don't want to say that's official.
And speaking of which, I just watched Age of Ultron again after a couple of years of not seeing it. Every time I watch this movie, it ages like fine wine.
It ages well. It really does. Like, it's so funny how, like, at first, you know, people were kind of bashing on it, but as the time has gone on, you look back. I remember I rewatched it not too long ago also, and I was like, this movie is actually, like, I don't know what we were complaining about. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not as great as the other ones, but it's not as bad as I remember people saying it was when it first came out.
I think as a standalone film, when everybody went to go watch it for the first time, there were a lot of questions we still had by the end of it. And I think now that you finished the Infinity Saga, you can go back to that movie and be like, oh, that's what they were trying to tell us. Like, there was so much talk about the Infinity Stones in this movie that we didn't have the concept of where they were going with these stories, but now we do. So when you watch the movie, it makes more sense. And I think, hopefully, when Secret Wars and Doomsday happens, we can go back to certain projects and go, oh, I get it now. Like, that's cool. For example, what the heck are Shang-Chi's weapons made out of? Where did they come from? Where did the 10 rings come from?
They made such a big deal about it, yeah.
There was a signal in space. Does that mean Dr. Doom has been sending out signals this whole time? Because it's not Kang anymore, you know, that much is true.
Right.
But, you know, you got things getting canceled left and right and moving left and right. But speaking of canceling, Raul, we got our rumor reel. Hold on, ready? This is my sound effect.
Now settle in, folks. We've got our rumor reel.
So we got Blade.
Perfect recreation. Yeah.
You know, I voice match. That's what I do. This is our rumor reel of the month. Blade and Armor Wars may get canceled? ? This comes to us from Superhero Hype. Among Marvel's multiple upcoming movies, Blade and Armor Wars are projects that have faced the most delays since their initial announcements. With Marvel looking to reduce the number of movies it launches in a year, rumors suggest that either Blade, Armor Wars, or both films could be canceled by Marvel Studios. Now, I thought Armor Wars was a TV series.
It started off as a TV series, and then they decided to change it into a film.
Gotcha. And you know, we've been reporting Blade.
It's just become laughable at this point.
Sometimes I'll just see that the word Blade come up in our reports, and I just giggle because I'm like, man, how many times this story is never gonna leave us alone, is it?
There's so many more Blade stories that have come out over the course of time that there have been so many of these Blade stories that I remember there were a few times where we would put together a show and there would be some sort of Blade news topic and I would put it in the Google Doc and Kevin, you would be like, let's just not talk about it this time. There's just so much. We've talked so much about Blade. Like, you know.
Next month, guys, Blade might still get canceled. I'm telling you.
It's not canceled yet.
Dude, it's like the vampire you can't kill. Like it wants to stay alive, but it's not doing us any good. You know?
Well, he's got all of their strengths and none of their weaknesses, Kevin.
Also, well, goddamn.
The Daywalker.
Well, also, let me look up. How old is Mahershala Ali right now?
He's in his 50s, man. I think he's right? He's got to be in his early 50s.
We got to confirm it. He is exactly 50 years old right now.
Okay.
I will say...
What, 45 when they announced he was going to be Blade?
Something like that. Although I will say Ryan Reynolds is 47 and Hugh Jackman, I think, is 54, 55 right now.
Right, he's 55, yeah.
And he's going to be doing this till he's 90.
It seems like they're going to keep him, yeah.
You know, and also when I see people like Samuel Jackson, who has been doing this since 2008.
Yeah. Coming up on 20 years now. Almost.
You almost can't even tell that Samuel Jackson has aged as a person. So, you know, maybe Mahershala Ali has that Hollywood magic that they can apply to him and keep him young for as long as they can. And we'll
if he's
just
still
never
interested.
be able to tell. He's still interested, but...
Is he? I don't know. I'm saying if he's still interested.
At this point, I am totally okay with them just...
That's what I was going to ask. Would you be... Well, let me ask you this, Kevin.
Recast him with Don Cheadle. There you go.
That would be an interesting...
Armor Wars, the movie, is actually going to be a Blade movie in a multiverse. And it's Blade in an Iron Man suit.
And he'll be from the same universe as Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom. It's the same two people instead of Tony and Rhodey, it's Doom and Blade.
Mic drop.
What do you think? Okay, so let me ask you first. Tell me your thoughts on Blade, and then answer this question about Armor Wars. But if either or both end up being canceled, how would you feel?
I don't care. Because I can't miss what I've never had. You know, I can't miss what people have been telling me is going to happen. Because I don't see anything yet. The only downside is that we've already heard Mahershala Ali's Blade in Eternals, which I feel like not as many people went to go see or were interested in watching.
They're just not going to address
it. And there's not going to be an Eternals 2. We already know that. That's another one of the many movies that are have been put to the side or canceled.
Right.
So, you know, I think Mahershala Ali, let's assume he does show up before Secret Wars. I think he just shows up to do one movie of Blade for Secret Wars. The movie may or may not flop, and then you end the whole Universe 616, and you move on to a new actor to play Blade in the next multiverse, the next universe, which is the Fantastic Four universe. In the Fantastic Four universe, we'll have the X-Men, we'll have Blade, will
You're
have.
really going all in with this. We're switching over to their
Is-
universe.
It
thing.
is the
You're really
perfect.
going.
It's the perfect segue. It's the
Oh,
perfect way to
that's
get.
bold.
Oh man, I still
I
think
mean, it could happen. Yeah, I mean, it could happen.
at the end of the Marvels, I still think that when Monica Rambeau shows up in this new universe with the X-Men, those are the X-Men from the Fantastic Four universe. I'm so convinced that that's what they're gonna do,
All
but
right.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But when it happens, I'm gonna be like, called it, But yes, Armor Wars. I do not care a single bit about it. Just if you know what, here's how you fix Armor Wars. Just do an Armor Wars storyline, but put Don Cheadle in the Ironheart series, and call that the Armor Wars Ironheart buddy cop series, and just call it a day. But I don't think they're gonna do that because I think they've already filmed it.
They're already done with filming on Ironheart. They're already finished with
which
that.
I'm not too excited about just yet. I don't know,
We'll see.
man.
We'll see.
We'll
I don't
see.
know. That's
But-
that is still happening though. I remember they confirmed it recently. That is still happening. So
You know what? When you say that, it sounds like you're saying we are still gonna punch a cat in the face, though. Like, we are still gonna do that.
we promise you, a cat will get punched.
That cat will suffer, and you're gonna watch as we punch this cat.
I'm gonna eat. Yeah, I'm gonna eat this cat like the people in Springfield, Ohio, who
Oh,
are
dear
eating
God.
eating the dogs, eating the cats. I'm sorry. Let's stay out of politics here.
sound
But yes, no, I don't know. So my thoughts on this are, I'd say, yeah, put Blade out of its misery already. This has been such a disastrous production. I don't know. Could you even call it a production? Because it never even went into production. I mean, they kept planning to, and it just kept getting. It all got messed up in the development phase consistently for years. And there's reports of this draft, then this writer left, and then another writer came in and wrote a new draft, and Mahershala wasn't happy with this draft, and I don't know, all these tensions and directors leaving. It's just been one thing after another. Yeah, I mean, if you feel as Marvel, if you feel like you're not cracking the story, and you've tried so many times for so long, and you just haven't gotten it and haven't figured it out, shelve it, or just kill it until you can figure something out. Don't try and force it now at this point. Having said that, I am a little bummed though that we will not, if it gets canceled, we won't see a Blade, we won't see an MCU version of Blade, at least for a long time. Because I was genuinely excited about seeing what Blade would be like coming into the MCU, and would they do like a Deadpool thing and make it R-rated or whatever, But I was really curious to see that, and I was really excited to see Mahershala as Blade because I thought that was great, perfect casting.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to see that. So it is kind of a bummer if this happens. It would be kind of a bummer for me because I really would like to see this movie. They just haven't been able to figure it out. And so, as much as I would like to see this movie, I agree that, like, look, if you can't crack it, just shelve it or trash it, move on to the next thing. Maybe come back around to it in a few years, and maybe come back around to it with a new actor because Mahershala probably won't want to do it anymore. As far as Armor Wars, I don't know what we would have missed out on, but I mean, the concept was interesting about, Stark's tech being out there and people fighting over it. And, that is an interesting concept. It is curious to me, though, because it started off as a TV show. And then at some point, Disney or Marvel decided, no, we want to make this into a movie. And so at the time, maybe I misread it, but I took that as like, oh, they have faith into this, in this thing, that they upgraded it. They have faith in this show or this story. That they upgraded it and they made it they want to make it into a film. So to me, I read that as a good thing. So I was like, well, there must be something here to this Armor Wars thing that's pretty good. So if I was reading that correctly, then the fact that they would cancel it is kind of a bummer for me. But I don't know, because it very well could be the case that that's not necessarily that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing because TV we know can expand on certain stories and can improve on things that you wouldn't work so much in a film. So
Right.
it could have gone either way. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, I'm kind of on the same boat as you. We won't know what we would have missed out on. Although I have my thoughts on Blade and what that would have been like, and that would have, in my head, it's a cool movie. It's a cool movie in my head. So
It's so sad because from what we've heard with the whole, it might just be about his daughter from in this new Blade movie, and
right.
like now it's not going to be about his daughter, so now they're going back to the writing board. And I want to throw in this one last thing because we haven't mentioned it just yet. Don Cheadle was actually asked about Armor Wars recently, and his response, because they were like, "Hey, so when's the movie coming out? When are you going to do that? Like, what's the status on this?" And his response was jokingly, he said, "Oh, what's Armor Wars? What's that? I don't even know what that is."
Ooh.
Maybe he said that in a way that it's like, guys, NDAs, like Marvel, MCU, come
Sure,
on, hush, hush, I
yeah.
can't talk about it.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Or if we want to look at it in a more cynical approach, he's like, dog, this stuff's not happening. Like, if there was a thing happening, we would have heard something by now. You know?
Do you think maybe because I don't know, the last thing we saw Rhodey in was Secret Invasion, and that. Right? Was that the last time we saw Rhodey?
Yeah, that definitely was.
Yeah,
he
'cause
had
I don't-
just been saved from being abducted.
Yeah. And that didn't go over too well with a lot of people. I certainly did not. Like
But
it.
also, here's the other thing about Armor Wars is that we are already getting Ironheart, and Ironheart is probably going to show us a Robert Downey Jr. AI version of himself, or at least his voice, right? So we're going to get enough Iron Man suit stuff happening in there. Wakanda Forever introduced us to an Iron Man suit from the Wakandans, and they have their own suits. Why are we getting so many shows and stuff about suits? Which is the same thing as like Thunderbolts, for example.
Everybody's got a suit.
Everybody's a super soldier in Thunderbolts. What we need some more Hulks in there, if you think about it, right?
Not,
Except for Black Widow.
Yelena.
Black Widow is the only
Yelena-
person who's not a super soldier.
Yelena Belova.
But everybody else, for the most part, is. You got Bucky. You got the U.S. agent.
John
You
Walker.
got-
Yeah, he did take the super soldier sin. That's right.
You got the Red Guardian. You got Ghost, who I think has super strength.
Yeah,
or she has.
she does.
she has all the
she
ghost
has. She can
abilities, too.
phase. She can phase through things.
And you got Taskmaster as well, who knows how to copy all the abilities that all the superheroes have.
Now, have they established? I cannot remember now. Black Widow. Have they established that Taskmaster's abilities is a superpower, or that's just something she can do? Like,
It sounds like they made it sound like it was something she can do.
it's like she can naturally just
But then
know
when
how
you
to do
yeah,
this.
when you watch the Black Widow movie, like they basically souped her up in a sense because they brainwashed her and turned her into a robot. When she fights Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, things go crazy, and she's like throwing Scarlett Johansson across the room whenever they fight. So it's kind of safe to assume that maybe she's a super soldier as well.
Yeah,
And then
or at least a very, very good fighter.
Yeah. I'm hoping they're keeping characters a secret. Like, I would love it if Deadpool was in Thunderbolts. Or I would love it if, what's his name? Abomination was like the Hulk of that group, you know? But I think
I'd like to see an Abomination Red Hulk fight.
that'd be cool. That'd be super cool. I don't know how She-Hulk wanted to manage it, but, I feel like I got to go back and rewatch She-Hulk.
Because that would be interesting, because if you go back to the Incredible Hulk from 2008, Ross was the one who recruited Blonsky to go after Banner. So they were kind of in cahoots, and now to see if you can, now later on, see them go at it against each other, both as these enormous rage monsters. That'd be an interesting twist.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, we are going to get a Red Hulk in the new Captain America movie, so that'll be pretty cool.
That looks really good.
So, again, going back to these two shows, though, or movies, Armor Wars, I'm okay with them not doing more Iron Man stuff. Blade, I feel like will eventually happen in 17 years once they put out more of the supernatural stuff. I mean, again, we got Agatha Harkness. The witch stuff is already out. You had the black and white special event on Disney Plus,
Werewolf by Night. Yep.
Werewolf by Night. I'm trying to think what other stuff they've had that's supernatural. But you know, we've already seen.
I mean, technically, in a way, Doctor Strange kind of taps into the supernatural.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
we're not talking about like monsters and werewolves
Right.
and witches, but yeah.
And I know Morbius isn't MCU, but like
Nah,
in a
get that-
perfect world, if Kevin Feige just got the reins to say what he wants about Morbius, you put him in Secret Wars, Blade fights him in there, Kevin Feige has full control of the storytelling, and just kill him. Just kill him off. Just kill him, and that's it. Move on.
Kill
you know.
him.
Then that way we get that satisfaction of seeing those two characters fight each other, because that's huge. That's a huge thing. But man, what a time to be alive. Every month there's still something to talk about with these Marvel stuff, and they just keep on taking over the news for us.
Yeah.
But we can't help it because Marvel they got a lot going on.
They've been busy this
Oh yeah,
past few
it's not
weeks.
going to be long though until DC starts coming back up again though, because as much as we've seen images of the new Superman stuff,
It's
they're
coming.
they're slowly bringing in the animation stuff as well. You know, the Creature Commandos and stuff like
Right.
that. So once we get more of that coming in, I'm sure that's other stuff we'll start reporting to all you listeners out there. Maki. But yeah,
all you listener.
all you listener, Maki. No, we get some good listeners. There's actually a lot more people on YouTube, so hello all the YouTube people
That's right.
who are taking a listen. But Raul, any last thoughts before we close up shop?
No, I'm curious to see where this ends up going, especially with Blade. Like, are we going to put it out of its misery finally, or because if this turns out not to be true and Blade is still happening, I'm going to be like, all right, well then, what's your plan? You know, if this turns out not to be true, I'd like to hear Marvel finally say, look, this is what's going to go on. This is what's happening with Blade. They had a chance to do it back in D23 or Comic-Con, whichever one they made a big, I think they made a big splash at both, but they had their chance. They didn't say anything about Blade. Nothing about Blade came up. So this is a question of will they or won't they? Are they going to make it or not?
I mean, they're redirecting us. They're redirecting us to focus on
We'll
other
see.
things that are more positive now, which I'm happy
There's exciting
about.
stuff coming. Yeah.
Yeah,
there is.
we got Spider-Man 4 with Destin Daniel Cretton. We already had Deadpool 3 come out. We get to see more about adamantium in that Celestial in the Captain America film.
Right.
And you know,
Next year
there's
will
more
be
to
Captain
come.
America and Thunderbolts, unless there's one more that I'm.
And
not
also
thinking.
Robert Downey Jr. is just coming back. So like, I mean, that's something that's very exciting. Maybe there's conversations about how we feel about that really, but it is pretty cool to see that he's back to the MCU after saying he wouldn't come back. You always come back. Always gotta come back.
They all come back. They always come back.
I'm always watching you, Wazowski. But then
You'll be back, Downey. Always coming back, Downey.
Oh, Robbie Downey Jr. That doesn't make sense. With that all being said, you guys, we made it to the end. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can follow us on all social handles at Real Geek News, at Kevin A. Rivera VO, and at Raul Ceballos VO.
That's right. And hit that like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel because we do have put the show up on YouTube and we post all our episodes and segments there. And we also have our library of movie reviews that you can check out as well on that playlist. So,
You
yeah.
totally just said library instead of library.
Did I say library?
You loser.
man.
Well, let us
Library.
know. Let us know how you feel about the word library and about our show with reviews on Apple Podcasts and our email, realgeeknews@gmail.com.
Send us your questions and maybe we'll answer it on the show, depending on our mood. We'll see.
Is it pronounced library or is it pronounced
We
library?
will answer that definitively on the show
100%.
because only we know the answers.
Yeah, we do. We know
It's
it
late,
all.
guys. I'm sorry. What?
With that all being said, stay safe, stay classy, and most important of all,
Stay geeky, my friends.